But behind the scenes, though, parliamentary behaviour is the issue. There was this sense for a while that maybe they'd learnt a bit of a lesson from all of this and things were going to be a little quiet, and then there was some isolated cases nevertheless. This one, here's Andrew Wilkie identifying one.
During the Prime Minister's answer, a member of the opposition called out, presumably addressed to me, "You should go back to Tasmania and rot." Now, no wonder the community is so concerned about behaviour in this place.
If it helps the House, I withdraw.
And then Anna Burke, the Deputy Speaker, said there'd been a reference to a dead man and she got quite emotional about that. Is there any chance that this will just calm down a bit?
I don't think so. A lot of the old-timers like to say, you know, it was just as vigorous as this, just as bitter as this back in the day. And, you know, I mean, Paul Keating sure could give political attack.
I think that's absolutely true of the Parliament.
That's all true. But I think the relentless nature of the attack is more than I've ever seen in 23 years watching Parliament.
Beyond the Parliament. I think that's where it's nastier.
It's nastier and more relentless and more widespread than it has been. And I think that's a result of a minority government. So there's an incentive to push harder, because if you can get one set of accusations to result in someone leaving Parliament, one person to choose to resign, whatever, the government will change. And I think the government's given the opposition a lot of material to work with, let's be frank. And Tony Abbott plays it harder, which, as Bill Kelty said quite rightly, is him doing his job. But he does his job in a very aggressive way.
Yeah, and then... Go on, Nikki.
No, I was only going to say that I don't think it's any worse than it was. It has always been, you know, a very tough place. It's no place for sooks. But I think the difference is that it's unremitting. It just happens all day, every day. And we see more of it and hear more of it all the time because of 24-hour news channels, because of social media. There is never any let-up with it or from them. So, and
then, of course, to balance the ledger a bit, there was a lot of attention given to the posters in Tanya Plibersek's office. Well, first of all, we'll hear from Tanya Plibersek when she was out yesterday explaining it. Here she is.
Keeping this in context, this was satire based on things that Tony Abbott himself has said in a private part of the office behind a locked door on the workstation of one young member of staff in an area that the public never go. I told him to take the offending material down immediately, and I've placed a ban on satire in the office.
Right, so that's the end of satire in at least one office in Parliament House. Now, we'll hear how this played out when Tony Abbott went on Channel 9 on Friday.
Are you threatened by gays?
No.
Boats?
I want to stop the boats, but all of us should want to stop the boats, and Tanya Plibersek wants to send boat people to Malaysia.
Are you threatened by gays on boats?
Come on, Carl.
Well, it's ridiculous.
Of course it's ridiculous.
Okay.
And it's tacky.
And ridiculous.
But he doesn't seem to be bothered. Look, I saw a telly movie 2 weeks ago, Game Changer, about Sarah Palin and the McCain campaign in the 2008 election, and it included a scene, word for word, factual reproduction of an actual event, where John McCain's facing a television audience and one woman gets up and says, "Oh, this Barack Obama, he's an Arab and he's not really an American." And McCain goes, no, and takes the microphone from her and says, look, Mr Obama is a decent family man, a citizen. I just happen to disagree with him on fundamental questions. That's what this election campaign is all about.
And then he went on and lost.
Yes, I know. Is that the message? Or is the message that someone as decent as John McCain wouldn't survive in the current climate in Australia?
No, I think the message out of the Tanya Plibersek thing was hypocrisy. I mean, Tanya is the first one out there. If she thinks that, you know, whenever the cat meows, she's out there complaining about how there's been a drop in standards or people are sexist.
But it was such a flimsy example to use against her. This was something that was in the privacy of her own office at one workstation.
Of course it was flimsy, but it made her look like a hypocrite because she's the one who's been out there complaining about it, and then in her own office, you know, they have this stuff. I don't think any of it is offensive. I just think that people have to, you know, just cop a lot of this stuff. I mean, it's politics.